What's going on, YouTube? I am the Ish9, and this is the U12 Plus. And I've had this device for quite a while now, and I'm currently ready to give you guys my full review. Now, HTC is a company that was always in the forefront of audio technologies as well as camera technologies, in my opinion. These cameras, bar none, are still as clean and as efficient as they were when they first came out. I mean, not too many things can really compare to these cameras back in the day when this thing first came out. Now today, it's a different story. Today, there are many phones with great cameras, largely thanks to HTC, as well as companies like LG. Same thing with audio technologies, largely thanks to HTC. Many companies now have great speakers and great audio services. If you haven't seen my last video, please go watch my last video on the front-facing camera and the rear-facing camera in regards to the HTC U12 Plus as well as the Google Pixel 6 Pro. But what makes this device so impressive is the fact that it's able to keep up with all of those other devices. With all of those other devices, it's still able to keep up. This device now is about 5 years old. It hasn't had a security patch or an update since 2019. And it's still an incredible device, and it's still able to run almost anything that I throw at it. In day-to-day usage, I don't notice anything different in terms of using this device with 4G LTE, which is the only thing that this device can get, and using some of my more modern devices on 5G services, as well as bouncing back between 4G and 5G services. It's just as fast, it's just as smooth. The animations are fine when it comes to opening applications, and I really don't experience too much lag or too much difficulty. This screen technology that they used, and I believe they're one of the first ones to use this type of screen technology. This is an LCD panel, but it's a super LCD panel, and I believe they called it Super LCD 5. This is probably one of the best LCD panels I have ever seen in my life. And the fact that they used an LCD panel back in the day was a good thing, because that means that it wasn't as power hungry. So the battery life on this thing is amazing, even though this is still a 6.1 inch device. And as you can see here with the colors, I'm still getting notifications coming in. As you can see here with the colors, this thing is bright, vivid, and it gets just as dark as you need it to get. Now, I got this device brand new through an eBay seller, and that was just through luck. Somebody asked me, how do I get one of these devices? And sadly, the answer is you can't get one of these devices. HTC no longer produces phones, really. They have a couple of budget models that they release, I think one every year. If you want to try to pick one of those up, that's fine. But as far as their premium line of devices, you can't find them anymore. Maybe you can find a used one for a couple of $100, but I cannot testify to the quality or whether or not it's going to be in good condition. I was lucky enough to get this thing brand new. Now I want to highlight a couple of different things here with this device. As far as I know, HTC was the first company to put a audio DAC inside of a Type-C port in the headphones, for headphones. And they also included a dongle adapter to help you take advantage of that. I have used it and I have tested it out against other devices such as the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III. I've tested it out against the LG, and I've tested it out against dedicated music players. Now, it's not bad, but I think at this point in time, it's a little dated. Yeah, it's the audio quality is low dated, and for my ears and my liking, it's just a little bit too much trouble, and it's not really for me. I think a lot of the technology now has gotten to be a lot more fuller sounding and a lot more smoother in terms of its representation of the audio quality. Now, what you do also get with this device is HTC's boom sound. HTC's boom sound is a high fidelity loudness that they have coming out of their speaker system with this device. And that is still amazing. And I'll bring something up here for you for a second. Let's get some non-copyright music. And I'll just play something for a moment. Now those speakers are no joke. Legit, these speakers compete with any other device on the market. These speakers are literally louder than my two front-facing speakers on my Sony Xperia 1 Mark III, and it's louder than my LG V60. It's almost as loud as some of my Samsung devices, almost, but just not there. Every now and again, it'll sound a little bit hollow. You know, it has the same issue as maybe the DAC does, which it doesn't have, a fuller sound. But HTC at the time, at least for me, other than LG, it was the closest to being what you could get for a high fidelity audio player, outside of going to buy something that was dedicated. So the total package with audio quality is here. And you can also get high fidelity audio when it comes to utilizing the video recording system. It had 3D audio. It didn't work with the 4K 60, but the fact that it had 4K 60 that you could record for 5 minutes, check out my last video. I did do a little bit of recording with that. And if you record it in 1080p, at least 30 or 60 frames per second, you can utilize that 3D high fidelity audio. That is just amazing. So this thing covered all the grounds and all the bases when it came to audio quality. HTC for me, excuse me, that's still going. HTC for me is, nearly the complete device for someone that was looking for the total package in terms of audio quality. And it just sucks to see the fact that the two different manufacturers that focused on audio the most, in HTC and LG, are both no longer here with us anymore. I'm very fortunate to have lived through these eras, and I'm very fortunate that I was able to get this device brand new, because I love it and it's going to stay in my collection forever. So one other thing I wanted to go over as well was the fact that I really, really love this fingerprint sensor being here on the back. I think it's just a little bit more reliable than some of the ultrasonic fingerprint sensors that we have. I just think it's more reliable. Every time my finger can be a little moist, whatever. I could have just ate some chicken, whatever. And it still just functions all the time. I haven't had one issue with it at all. As well as the haptic feedback buttons. Now we have Apple talking about getting rid of buttons and ports. HTC was one of the first to do that. They actually implemented it. Here in the sides of the phone, there are no capacitive buttons on this device. All of this is done through haptic feedback and pressure sensitivity. And then you still have the HTC squeeze. Opens up the camera sensor right there. So this thing was just ahead of its time, feature packed, not really missing much. It does slack a little bit in today's era with gaming. So I have here 1945 Air Force Let's open that up. I have here 1945 Air Force, and as you can see here, it does pretty well with some of the more simpler, less intensive gaming. So if you wanted to play some games, you can get away with playing some of these kind of games. These are just some basic shooters. I like playing these kind of games because they're not as stressful as some other games. It's a lot more simpler. And you can just hear that audio quality coming from this device. This device only has 6 gigabytes of RAM. Woo. Now you see that lag, that stutter that just happened? You know, when the screen gets busy, there it goes again. When the screen gets busy, you'll start seeing it. It's definitely not a phone that you could use for gaming, at least not in this era. But less intensive games, definitely. But if you wanted to play Call of Duty, and some of the other mobile games, I definitely would not recommend it. This thing is going to stutter on you a little bit. And as you saw there, just playing that one game for a couple of minutes, it stuttered on me like 3 different times when the screen got busy. You know, it just comes with the territory of utilizing older phones. If you were someone who likes to mod or who likes to tinker a little bit, maybe you can get this device on a different Android higher than 9. You know, maybe you could probably push it to like 11 or 12. If you can get it on like stable 12, that would be amazing. But there's nothing really you could do about how it handles with management of some of those other systems, especially some of the more high intensive gamings, the MMOs and so forth. It's definitely not going to be very well good for that. But everything else is just great. Everything else is fine. Just utilizing the phone with any of your other applications. You can definitely watch your Netflix and do all those other different things. I have Asphalt 9 and Call of Duty on here. Call of Duty is definitely a game you can't play on here. Asphalt 9, it doesn't work either. I wouldn't play any one of those games. It just kind of ruins the experience. That stutter, that lag is annoying for games like that. However, for 1945 Air Force, it's fine if you want to play some Sudoku, some chess, little games like that. If you got like one of those little diamond games or whatever, the matching games, those are just fine. So as far as gaming goes, not really for this device. But like I said, in every other category and hardware and software, it still keeps up with all of my other devices, man. There's nothing that this phone can't do. It's a perfectly good device, perfectly good phone. I guess at the time when it first launched at I believe it was like $900. I believe it was something around there, that people just thought it was too much. And for the most part, it was reviewers that thought it was too much. And I'm not sure if they got a review unit and they were just mad about it or what, but really there's no issues with this phone. It's absolutely stunning. It's absolutely amazing, and I just love it. And that'll be all for my review of the HTC U12 Plus. Thanks guys for watching. And this is truly, you know, the end of an era and it's just nostalgic for me to have the ability to keep this device in house with me as a part of my collection, as an audio enthusiast and as a cellular technology enthusiast. Thanks guys for watching. If you guys had this device previously in the past, if you had any experience with HTC, let me know. I'd like to hear some of you guys' stories or some of you guys' experiences. Later.